Hey everybody, this is Adam from Honest Home Inspections. Today we're going to be doing an installation of a backsplash in our kitchen. Now, this is going to be a very popular type of backsplash these days, which is called a penny backsplash. So we're simply going to be using pennies to adhere to the wall and create a barrier between the cooking oils and splatters that may happen and the drywall. As we go through this project, there's a few steps that we're going to follow. The first is preparation. We want to make sure that we get everything we need prior to beginning the project so we don't have to create any errands as we go. Second is that we want to be able to prepare the area. Third is the actual application of the pennies into the backsplash. And then fourth, we'll go through the grouting and protection process that will be needed in order to make this a long-lasting feature of the home. So the first thing that we want to do is use some sort of all-purpose cleaner and a rag in order to clean the wall behind the area that the backsplash is going to be inhabiting. And we are going to have to pull out this oven from the wall in order to get behind it and create that backsplash. After we get done cleaning the wall, we're going to want to take off the electrical covers. You do not want to take off the electrical covers first and then spray your all-purpose cleaner. That would be an electrocution hazard. While you're doing your cleaning, we're going to start with using some sort of CLR, calcium, lime, and rust remover in order to treat our pennies and get them to look a little bit brighter before we put them on the wall. We have this other larger towel here for drying the pennies after they've had about 5 to 10 minutes to be in the CLR in a 50-50 solution. After we've gotten everything cleaned up in the backsplash area and our pennies are clean, we can apply a painter's drop cloth to the oven and to the back of the backsplash of the counter in order to protect the area from the glue that we're going to be using, as well as any other messes that can occur. I'm going to be wearing black non-latex gloves in order to handle the CLR and also just for the all-purpose cleaner to keep my hands safe. And then for adhering the pennies, any sort of super glue can work. Silicone can also work. I had this heavy-duty construction adhesive Gorilla Glue laying around, so I'm going to utilize that. Okay, we're going to start our project by using the CLR cleaner on the pennies. We're going to use a 50-50 mix of CLR with our pennies. There's no breakable cap. So 50-50 is totally an estimate, and it's going to soak for 5 to 10 minutes. So we're going to use about half this container just for proper amount of submersion of our pennies. And with the gloves, we can go ahead and agitate our pennies. Wow, you can already see them really coming to life. Maybe we don't need 5 to 10 minutes, maybe it's just a rinse. Let's put the plug in, at least to protect, let that drain a little bit more slowly and protect us from having to fish pennies out of the garbage disposal later. Then one more rinse. And after we get them all rinsed off, spread them out to dry. Now, the amount of pennies that I'm using is simply an estimate. I did take 100 pennies and put them into a square to get an idea, roughly about, I would say 8 square inches or so is $1. And so it'll take Probably $5 to $10 in order to cover the area that we're working with. Okay, now that we have our pennies cleaned with CLR, give them a little bit of time to dry. While that's happening, we'll go ahead and clean the backsplash area that we're going to be putting our pennies to. We're going to pull our oven away from the wall. Now that we have our backsplash area cleaned off, our oven is pulled out, the outlet covers are removed, we can apply a drop cloth if you desire, just for a little bit of added protection. All right, and we'll do the same for the opposite side to protect the counter from any super glue. Since our Gorilla Glue came in a huge construction adhesive tube, my plan is to put out one squeeze at this point, let the pressure off of the tube so it stops. Use a toothpick to pick up the construction adhesive to put on the back of the penny to stick on the wall. Well, it doesn't require a great deal of adhesive, just enough to coat the back. And then my plan is to start in this corner here, because this is the most visible corner. This is the most visible corner of the kitchen. I'm going to bring it across the bottom, up the side, and out in a diagonal direction. Pennies and the adhesive have had a full 24 hours to set up now, which brings us to the grouting step. For the grouting to take place, we have gotten a 10-pound bucket of unsanded grout in a really dark color because we think that's going to look really nice. This is for grouting small tile joints up to a 1/4 inch wide. If you use sanded grout, sand is for 1/4 inch up to 1/2 inch. The spaces between the pennies are very small, so the unsanded grout is going to be what is necessary for this project. We're going to take this grout with water and mix it per the instructions into the bucket, and we have this trowel to help us with mixing, joint knife. And then we have the float, the grout float, in order to apply the grout onto the wall. And after the grout has been on the wall for 15 to 30 minutes, we have the sponge and the bucket again with water to clean the grout up. Once the grout is fully set, we're going to need some sort of clear enamel to protect it. If you were doing a penny floor, you would use an epoxy or some sort of self-leveling hardening device to protect the pennies and the grout. Because this is behind the oven on a vertical surface, the spray-on enamel is going to be our best bet for protecting our work for years to come. All right, let's get to work on grouting and finishing. I've put in about half of the 10 pounds of grout mixture and then divided the amount of water in half as well. So mix this around. It's less about the exact measurements and more about the consistency I went ahead and put on some of my nitrile gloves since this is such a dark grout. I don't want it staining my hands. All right, let's keep going. We're at the right consistency. I'm just going to try to get it smooth out a little bit more. That should work well. So with this grout, use this float, push it in up against the wall, over to the corners. I want to fill in those gaps off to the side. Also taped up against my light so I can push. Add a little bit more. Push it into that corner. Let's go ahead and throw a piece of painter's tape. Over top of that guy for protection. And keep on going. Okay. It's a little easier. Not by much. To get in behind the stove here. At least we don't have as many obstacles in our way. My grout's thickening up a little bit too much. I'm going to add a little bit more water. There we go. Now it's more easily pushing into those gaps because it's a little bit more liquid. Working it in between the gaps first. Fill everything up. And once you feel like you can't fill any more, use flat edge. Pull a bunch of it out. Scrape it off. Deposit it down the line. If anybody has any other grouting tips and tricks, feel free to leave them in the comments section of the video. I am relatively new to this process. Just trying to do my best here. Okay, we are on our home stretch of grouting. Now we got everything covered. We can go through and scrape all this off. The less we need to clean with the sponge, the better. After I wiped down the grout, I then sealed the backsplash with Rust-Oleum crystal clear enamel. Just sprayed it onto the back of the wall. Put my covers back on. And this is the finished product. This is a test to see if my head is completely cut off.